Running in tandem to a surfer's on-wave technique is their ability to navigate the ocean successfully, to put themselves in the right spot at the right time. If you're like me, you've seen absolute experts at this and wondered to yourself, how on earth do they do it? Well, after spending the last few years learning from such incredible experts, today I'm going to share with you 5 steps for better surf positioning, especially amongst a crowded or competitive lineup. These are some really powerful tips that I'm going to share with you. Let's go. This video is brought to you by thesurfersroadmap.com, my online surfing university designed to progress your surfing faster than ever, just like these guys here. Join over 10,000 students via the link in the description below. Positioning in surfing can be broken up into a couple of different categories. Your position in relation to the waves and your position in relation to other surfers. Let's start by talking about strictly the waves, and then we'll talk about other surfers. Step number 1, get well versed at identifying where the peak of a wave is. I've said many times that learning how to read the ocean is like learning another language, and it's true, it takes a long time. But you need to get to a place where you can easily take one glance at the ocean from the shore or from in the water and identify the ideal takeoff spot on a wave. We're looking for a swell that has a clearly defined tip that is higher than the rest of the wave, like these clearly defined examples in Nicaragua here. There should be a noticeable gradient off in either the right or left direction or both, which creates a disparity of timing where the wave will break, and this disparity creates a wave face that we can surf. Waves with too little gradient are what we might call straight, or a closeout where the whole wave breaks at once. Remember also that where you are and the reliability, the consistency of that specific location will have a big impact on a wave's pace and direction, which obviously impacts your reading of it. If a wave looks too straight to you, but you know you're surfing a long sandbar that breaks pretty much the same every time, then you should be able to approach that wave with more confidence. When in doubt, come back to this question. Where does the wave look most powerful to you? Normally, this defines the peak of the wave. If you're really having trouble with this, surround yourself with better surfers. Observe where they position themselves in relation to the peak of a wave and try to emulate their approach. Step number 2 to perfect positioning in the surf. Approach and face the wave when positioning for it. I see surfers make this mistake over and over again. When a wave is coming toward you, it is a chance for you to gather information about it, where the actual peak is, how the wave might change by the time it comes to you, and what line you might want to take after you pop up. If you turn your back on the wave too early, then you'll have no way to gather this intel and are most often relying on luck to be in the right position. Often what happens here is a surfer will end up swallowed by the lip or taking off way too late or simply wasting their energy and missing a wave that they could have ignored. Ideally, you won't even have to move to catch a wave, but in the ocean, this is kind of unrealistic most of the time. By forcing yourself to reposition or optimize your position in these angles, as opposed to this angle toward the beach, you'll have a much stronger wave catching practice. This may mean that you have to sit further toward the impact zone, closer to the beach, than you normally do, which can be intimidating if you're uncomfortable with the surf. But remember, it's actually the safest and surest way to catch a wave because you're informed and, hopefully, optimized with your positioning. Step number 3, personalize your takeoff spot. Know that there are multiple takeoff spots on a wave, from advanced through to intermediate and then all the way back to beginner. And this is even the case on a bigger wave. For an advanced surfer, they're normally looking for the most speed possible for a ride, and that means they'll want to take off right on the peak of the wave. Or if they're going for a specific maneuver or a barrel, they may actually modulate their takeoff point according to those desired outcomes. For an intermediate surfer, generally speaking, they'll want to take off just to the side of a peak and angled slightly in the direction of travel. For instance, if they're catching a right, they'll angle out to the right a little bit. If they're catching a left, they'll angle slightly out to the left. Meanwhile, for a beginner surfer, they may wish to take off after the wave has dissipated in power a little, maybe even 1 or 2 seconds after the peak is broken, in order to feel safer with the steepness and the pace of the wave. So you can see here we have 3 different approaches that are all appropriate for each surfer's level. Now, you've got to remember though, when we start surfing more advanced waves, it may actually become harder to take off on the shoulder, and this is because we may not generate enough momentum to get ourselves out in front of the lip. In that circumstance, speed on a wave is relative. Most of the time you want lots of it because this gives you control over your positioning on the wave face. If you have less speed than the wave dictates, it can become harder to navigate white water and different sections of that wave. Basically, you're not in the driver's seat when you don't have enough speed, and that is heavily impacted by where you take off. Okay, with step number 4 and 5, we're going to talk about other surfers now. First up, take the time to read the lineup before you paddle out. I often find in most lineups around the world that there are undercapitalized zones where waves are breaking and the ratio of waves to humans is pretty desirable, and that can be a goldmine. Too many surfers will just follow a crowd, presuming that the crowd knows what they're doing and are in the right spot all the time. Thinking independently and identifying undercapitalized zones is a great way to reduce crowd pressure in a lineup. I've just paddled down the beach a bit. Less waves, less consistent, but no people. That was getting a bit tough. If you really can't see any areas like this though, then the next thing that you're looking for is space. By creating as much space as possible between you and other surfers, whilst of course staying within the wave breaking zone, you will maximize your chances of catching a wave. As soon as someone sits close to you, evaluate your position and move to space. And the final step to really mastering perfect positioning in the surf is to learn lineup etiquette. Learning lineup etiquette and actually following it will have a dramatic impact on your positioning and your wave count during a session. Most tangibly, it gives you the confidence to hold your position and take a wave when it's your turn, and to get busy or keep moving when it's not. I've done videos explaining surf etiquette and lineup etiquette before. I'll put a link up in the corner here. Make sure you check it out. Well, I hope those positioning tips helped you out, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out thesurfersroadmap.com. We have a ton of really helpful courses there, which I'm sure will have a dramatic impact on the progression of your surfing. You can also join me on Instagram at Kale's Broccoli. Let me know in the comments which tip was helpful for you, and do you have any extras? Let me know down below. I'll see you guys soon.